Pre-algebra lesson 99, exponents and signed numbers. So this is going to be a little bit of a logical application of PEMDAS and how it relates to exponents being used with positive and negative numbers with or without parentheses. Okay, so I'll use the number 3 as an example. So let's say we've got negative 3 squared, and then we've also got parentheses negative 3 squared. These are slightly different, okay? And the reason why it has to do with PEMDAS, specifically the first 3 letters, parentheses, exponents, and multiplication, okay? And the idea is how we view negative numbers. So if you remember, we view negative numbers as this being read as the opposite of 3, okay? But then we also know that if we had something like negative 3, we would multiply the two negatives, and that would make it plus positive, right? So essentially what we're saying is that putting a negative, or the symbol, the opposite of, in front of the number is akin to a multiplication step, right? So more or less saying negative 3 is like saying negative times 3, okay? And that's important because remember we got P-E-M. Now, if we have negative times 3, what takes precedence? The negative or the exponent? The exponent does because it comes first. So I have to do the exponent before I multiply. So what happens in this case is I don't do negative 3 times negative 3. I do 3 times 3. So what this problem becomes is negative 3 times 3. So I do the exponent first. 3 times 3 gives me 9. So this is going to be negative 9. Whereas over here, I see the parentheses. And what's happening is this exponent is outside the parentheses, so it's saying this whole parenthetical idea, negative 3, is one idea. So this whole idea is being squared. So what this one means is I have negative 3 times negative 3. And that gives me a different answer, because then I have negative times negative, which gives me a positive. 3 times 3 is 9. Right? So we can see the difference here. If the negative is inside the parentheses, the negative gets multiplied with the exponent. If there is no parentheses, or here's another example. What if we had this? What if we had negative parentheses 3 squared, right? So if there's no parentheses, or if the negative is outside the parentheses, well, this would be the same thing. This would be negative 3 times 3, which would give us negative 9, right? So if the negative is outside the parentheses, or there's no parentheses, you just add the negative on at the end. If it's in the parentheses, then you square it, cube it to the 4th power, etc. All right. So we'll go ahead and do an example problem with this logic. All right. So we're going to have to simplify expressions that look like. Let me find a tough one. Yes, we'll do expressions like this. We've got negative 2 squared minus parentheses negative 3 squared minus 3 to the power of 4. And let's make sure that that's actually on the camera so we can see me solve it. Okay, so when simplifying this, I'm going to simplify the parentheses first, right? So I can see that this negative is getting squared. So this is in fact negative 3 times negative 3, which just gives me positive 9. So that parenthesis is now just positive 9. I'll copy down everything else that didn't change. So I've got negative 2 squared, minus sign, that changed, that minus sign is still there, and then 3 to the power of 4. Now I can go into my exponent step. I'll simplify all the exponents. 2 squared is just going to become 4. The negative gets put on at the end. Minus 9 is just minus 9. 3 to the power of 4 is going to be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Let's see here, that's 9. That's 9. 9 times 9, 81. Okay, so then that just becomes minus 81. Again, because I'm multiplying the 3's, then putting the minus sign on at the end. Now I just need to do some algebraic addition. Let's see here. I remember from my 9 times tables that if I do negative 9 plus negative 81, that's just going to be negative 90, and then negative 90 plus negative 4 is negative 94. Okay, and that's it for this lesson. If you guys have any questions, let me know on the school website, and I'll see you in class.